everybody. Welcome to another episode of Spiritcast. I'm your host, John. And tonight's episode, I have a lovely couple from Kentucky. Well, one of them's from Kentucky. At least that's where they work, is in Kentucky. We'll just go with that. But these folks met in a very, not exactly the normal way you would think of meeting. And it wasn't by a friend. Or was it by a friend? I might have been. I guess we're going to find out. Folks from Pac-Man Paranormal, join us next. Welcome.
Hello.
Ernie, Denise, how are you folks?
Doing good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you guys?
I'm tired.
Tired.
I can imagine you guys got quite a bit going on right now, I see.
You have no idea.
Yes, we really do.
So how's I ask everybody, how's 2021?
Well,
starting out with a big bang for us.
we got married on the 15th
of January.
Yeah, 15th day of 2021.
Yep.
And we have gotten some good news. We're both going to be helping with the tours and investigations at Waverly Hills. I've been there several times in the past, off and on working, and I'm back this time, hopefully for good. And Denise has just got a new job today. That's a $10 an hour raise.
It's not official. I did not get officially hired yet.
If they don't hire you, I'm going up there and causing problems.
But I also got a job at Waverly also.
You guys didn't exactly meet the, I guess you could say, the usual way of either going to the bar, going to the club, at a family reunion, at a funeral. So,
No.
Let's hope we don't meet our significant others at family reunions, although I am from West Virginia.
You're from West Virginia.
I'm from West Virginia, so yeah, I guess it's possible. I did have to break up with a boyfriend once.
You're from West Virginia, and
originally,
Ernie, you were from where?
Right here at Valley Station, Kentucky, right over the hill from Waverly Hills.
I was actually living in Tennessee when I met him. I had been in Tennessee about 20 years whenever I met him. I moved from West Virginia to Tennessee in 97.
So tell me how you guys met, because this isn't, like I said, the usual way you would think of actually meeting someone.
It's not normal. I'd say it's a paranormal story.
Nothing about us is normal, ever.
I was hosting private investigations at Waverly Hills in 2019, and on June 20th of 2019, which happened to be her daughter Darby's birthday, 18th birthday, she had a private overnight booked, and I was their host for the night, and that was it. It was just like that. Boom, bang.
There was a little more to it than that.
So Denise, tell me your half of this. What's your share on it?
I had been going to Waverly on and off for many years. My first trip to Waverly was in 2009. And there's a particular spirit there that I've always felt kind of connected to. It's a nurse, supposedly a nurse. All of this is, let me just start the podcast by saying it's all alleged.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
We cannot verify any of this information, and I don't want to put it out as fact. This is just our story. Take it, leave it for whatever it's worth.
Absolutely.
But there is a particular spirit on the 5th floor that
outside of room 502
that I felt like the story that they were giving wasn't exactly the truth of the way it went down. One of the main things was that she had committed suicide, and I didn't feel that was correct. Once again, you know, we do know that there was a nurse found hanging. We can't verify what happened. That there's a story that the story that has been told is that she committed suicide and that she was having an affair and that she gave herself an abortion. All of that is alleged as well because there's no documentation anywhere to verify that. I have always been, what'd you say?
I was going to say it's hearsay.
Hearsay, yes.
Correct. Everything is there. There's no police evidence. There's nothing.
Right.
So this is your guy's story from, you know,
right.
That's kind of what we refer to as personal experiences.
Right.
Personal experiences and documented paranormal evidence.
And I think that it I guess it's important for me to also say, though, to keep saying that there's no documentation, because even though what we say we can't verify what we have experienced, we also can't verify that the story that they're telling is the truth because there's no documentation. Like you said, no police reports or anything. So it's a story that's been passed down. And I started feeling from the very first time that I went up there, that story was not correct. And she started coming to me and talking to me because I talk to dead people. And she's been kind of talking to me on and off over the years. And I have been there multiple times. And every tour guide that I had when I had went up there had told the same story, rehearsed it as it was meant to be told. And every time I just kind of went with the flow. I never said anything to correct anyone because I'm what you call a closet medium.
Yeah.
Like I've always been kind of weird about even really talking about my gifts because, you know, it's just not something that a lot of people talk. Well, I never really talked about them. So when I got to the gate, I had been in really bad place relationship wise. I was having issues with my kids. Single mom, was not in the mood to date, had no desire to date. I've got severe anxiety, and it just was not in the cards for me. And severe anxiety to the point that when I pulled up at the gate, I was panicking a little bit that I knew that somebody was going to be coming down to the gate to talk to us. And I was like, I don't want to have to get up and talk to this person. So I told one of the other friends that were there with me, when whoever comes down to let us in, can you please talk to them, give them the information, whatever. And as I'm sitting there at the gate waiting for him, ends up being him to come down, when he starts down the hill and I look up and see him, it was just like a familiarity, I guess. I mean, it wasn't like I looked up and was like, you know, angels singing or anything, but
yeah, it probably was.
It was that Adonis glow
That's
off
usually
your skin.
what women
anyway
hear when they see me.
There you are. Anyway, I got that same female voice that had been talking to me, that I got real calm and I heard, it's okay, get out and talk to him, he's safe. And I just got out of the car and walked to the gate, and like my kids and everybody, like their mouths flew open because my anxiety is so bad. They could not believe that I was comfortably getting out and walking to the gate. And when I started talking to him, there was no issue whatsoever. It was like I knew him. And he lets us in, you know, we talk, and I'm still at this point, something weird is happening. And I'm like trying to avoid him like the plague all night. I'm like, oh no, I don't know what this, because this female voice is like, you need to talk to him some more. I'm like, oh no, we ain't going there. I see where this is going. No, that ain't happening. And, but what got me was when we got to the 5th floor, out of all the guides and all the times I'd been there and all the times I'd heard that same story, we get to the 5th floor and he tells the typical story, the rehearsed story. And then he says, now let me tell you what she's told me. And he starts telling me the story that she'd been telling me. And we had the same story that this spirit had been communicating to him as well. And that's when it clicked with me that he knows. he knows what I've known, and he's the first person that's had this knowledge. And he could tell because he said when he looked over, he saw me nodding in agreement, like I knew,
Yeah.
I understood.
Now,
So-
Denise, when you were there with that tour, when you got connected with Ernie, was there anybody else with you at the time? How many people were in your tour?
Oh, we had like 15 people, maybe
12, 15.
12, 15. I had 3 of my daughters there, 2 of their friends, and
Now,
then
when you
a couple of
left,
friends.
did
Mhm.
anybody with your tour look at you and go, that guy's total full of crap? I heard something also that this was not true.
No, none of them.
Now,
Actually,
Ernie, now you've worked there for on and off for how long?
On and off since 2009. I've done
Now,
everything.
how many other people have heard this story that you work with?
Our story?
Yes.
Probably 4 or 5 of them at this point, but because I didn't want to rock the boat a whole lot and say, hey,
All these
the
years, this
story
has
we
been
tell
crazy.
is wrong. Yeah. And
So at this point, when you guys have met, you two are really the only ones that have heard this story.
yes,
right. She had only talked to us.
Well,
Now, how long-
I will say this. I've hosted investigations up there off and on for over 10 years, and well, come Monday night, that'll make it over 10 years. But anyway, I have had several teams come through there that come to me with an EVP that is like, listen to what we got on the 4th floor, and you hear a female voice saying lies.
4th or 5th?
5th floor.
Fifth
I'm sorry,
floor.
5th floor. I thought I said 5th.
You said 4th.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm used to correcting you.
I'm talking. He let you talk for a long time.
You will talk for a long time if I don't fix it.
Listen to this EVP I got, and you listen, and it's a female voice that says lies. Listen to this EVP that another team come down. Listen to this EVP I got. He hurt my neck. Different bits and pieces that lined up with the stuff that I've been getting myself up there. Because since I first started up there, I was always drawn to that story of her too, because the first time I went through there giving a tour, actually I was a caboose on a tour, and which is the person that brings up the rear of the group so that nobody straggles off. And the guide was telling the story, and 3 of us audibly heard a scream, "No!" And it was how paranormal screams are. They're not loud and piercing, but it's like they're right next to you and they're screaming, but it's very faint. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And 3 of us actually heard this. And from that moment, and then the more I thought about the story, the less sense it made to me. And so I would go up there myself every chance I had, if I was by myself or if I was with another group or on my own investigation, whatever, and try to communicate with her. One night I was up there with a group out of Wisconsin. I believe they were out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Might have been Green Bay Paranormal Research, but I'm not 100% sure. But and it was me and 3 guys. And we were up there trying to communicate with her. We had all this equipment laid out. We were getting nothing. And I said, guys, trust me, she communicates with me all the time, just in one way or another. And, I didn't know much about her at that point. I hadn't gotten a whole lot back as far as, her story so much. I didn't know her name, didn't know anything. And finally I sat down over against the wall there by the elevator, and I said, hey, my name is Ernie. I'm going to be spending a lot of time up here now, because this was when I first started hosting the private overnights. I said, I'm going to be spending a lot of time up here now, and I want to talk to you. So if you could tell me your name, we could start there. And I just sat there for a couple of seconds, and all of us, audibly, clear as a bell, hear a female voice coming from over by room 504. It said, Sarah. And, we all turned and because, it was me and three guys up there, and none of us sounded like that. It was a very soft, petite female voice. And I said, well, hello, Sarah. And, then we started getting some reaction on some of the Mel meters, the K2 meters, things like that. And, the activity picked up the rest of the night. And we got a few bits and pieces then, but nothing you could really put together. But from that night on, I've been going up there every chance I have and trying to spend some time talking to Sarah. And I don't know that that's the nurse that was found hanging.
We just know somebody.
I know
on
there's a
5
spirit on 5 who was a nurse at Waverly.
That's name is
who
Sarah.
Was murdered. Based on what she has told us, someone tried to rape her. She fought back. They hurt her neck, and then they lied and made it look like a suicide.
Now, on that note, now everybody has had a couple interactions with Brandon from Paranormal in the Funhouse. Mm-hmm. And he wants to know, what's the best Class A EP you've ever captured during an investigation? And I'm going to assume probably at Waverly.
Well, I had one, and it actually was not my particular EVP. I was with another group that I had went with, and it was actually TRIPS, Tennessee. I don't remember what it stood for. They're not a group anymore, but my friend Kim Cantu actually was the leader of that group that taught the EVP. Down in the loading dock, there were no children there. Obviously, we didn't have any kids with us, and we knew we had set the recorder in the loading dock, and we had all went upstairs. We were at least the third floor or higher. We made sure of that. And we only had like 10 people there, so we knew where we could account for everybody. And when we were going back and listening to that, there is what sounds like somebody beating on the loading dock door. And it's not just bang, bang. It's like bang, 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 bang. And it goes on for like 30 or 40 seconds. And while it's doing it, you hear a child yelling through the door, like, let me in, but it's yelling in what sounds like Spanish. We weren't real sure. And her husband actually is part Spanish, like I guess you would say
Hispanic.
But he's like Mexican, like he's got like different things in his.
Yeah, but it's Hispanic heritage.
It's Hispanic heritage, but his father, they took it to his father to see if because they did not know, even using the regular dialect, how to translate it because it didn't make any sense. And they took it to his father, who said that it was a lost language that they no longer use, but it was a Hispanic or Spanish language. And it was saying, help me, he has hunger for me. That doesn't sound like anything because it was trying to get into the building. That doesn't, I don't know how that was associated with Waverly whatsoever, but that EVP was caught in the loading dock at Waverly Hills. And it was very, like, they did not tell his father when he was breaking it down where they caught it or what it was. They were just like, can you tell us what this is saying?
Now, what was there on Waverly before? Because I believe it was built in 1910?
Mm-hmm.
The first hospital opened in 1910.
And that was for people with tuberculosis, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And what was there before that?
A schoolhouse. It was raw land that was bought by Major Hayes in 1883. He built a small schoolhouse there for his children and other children around the community. There weren't many houses around. This was all, farmland and such back in the 1800s. But for all the local kids, he built a little schoolhouse there. And but prior to him buying it, the land was there was a lot of Native American heritage in these areas. So, I don't know how that would relate to the Hispanic dialect.
Yeah, I don't have any idea. That
at
was
all.
Just an odd catch for where we were at. You could tell that it wasn't something made up because it was not if you're going to make up an EVP or say, hey, I got this great EVP, you're going to make it about the place. I have no idea how that's associated with it.
And that's
now,
what
are they sure? Are they sure it was Hispanic, or is that kind of like leaning towards that?
Well, he was able to translate it. He said it was a lost language.
It was a clear EVP.
Yeah, it was very clear.
It was just the translation that was difficult. And so when they got a hold of the father-in-law at that point, he was able to tell him, yeah, that's a lost dialect of Spanish.
Could that have been something that maybe the Indians used?
I guess it could be possible.
I really don't know. I guess that's possible.
It could be.
Hello, Troy. What's your favorite piece of equipment?
I see everybody saying hi.
What is your favorite your favorite equipment to use indoors?
We don't use a lot of equipment,
but a good recorder.
Yeah,
a good recorder is a must. If you call yourself a paranormal investigator, you got to have a good recorder, because EVPs, like that example there, are some of the most convincing and easiest to get pieces of evidence that are out there. And so I just a good recorder. I mean, I love our REM pod myself.
Until he broke it.
She broke it.
He broke it.
She picked it up by the antenna.
He did not. He broke it.
She broke it. And we need a new REM pod. If anybody wants to donate a REM pod to Pac-Man Paranormal, just find me on Facebook.
He's always begging for something, y'all. Just ignore him. He is a mooch.
I'll keep it away from Denise.
You are a mooch.
I am not a mooch.
You are always trying to get something free from somebody.
We give people free shirts when they're on our show.
There's a big difference
between John, what are you giving me? A pen.
Just give him a hard time.
Hey, I like Coke.
If you got him on Messenger, just harassing. That'll be good.
I got Coke and I got a roll of tape.
Okay, I'll take it.
Now I do have 2 dogs you can have.
No, I'll give you mine.
I do have 2 dogs. So now that you guys have met, at what point did it actually seem like a true connection? Like at what point did you guys say, you know what, I like this other person, guy or gal?
Well, that is a
or has that not happened yet?
We went through 7 months of just friends, like to the point that when we would go out to eat, we would take our children so it didn't seem like a date. Like I avoided him that night like the plague. I left Waverly and said, I don't even know his last name, because my kids were like, Mom, y'all were flirting all night. I can get behind that relationship. I was like, we were not flirting. I stayed away from him as much as I could. And I said, I don't even know his last name. I'll never find him again. And this is why we think Sarah had a hand in it. I was like, I'll never find him again. As soon as I get home, people you may know, he pops up on Facebook. I don't know how that happened. Anybody in this chat knows how hard it is to get tickets to Waverly. I got 3 other sets that year.
It just kind of fell into her lap.
And the first night that I went back, it was a public, and I asked him, I said, are you going to be there? And he said, no, because I don't do the publics. I'll try to stay and say hey to you, and then I'm going to go home. I said, okay. Well, I get a call or a text 30 minutes before I'm supposed to be there that says, guess what? The tour guide called out. I'm going to be stuck doing your tour tonight. So it was things like that over and over for 7 months that kept putting us
divine intervention kind of things, and we always attribute them to Sarah. And it's like she had a hand in it.
And and we finally got to the point that, because it was weird, because I could tell I was starting to get attached. And I mean, we were talking all day, every day via text. We became best friends. Like I knew his deepest secrets. He knew mine. He was going through a hard time. I was there for him. We had each other's back on a lot of things. Like it was very comfortable. And, I finally got to the point that I knew my heart was getting involved, and I was like, Sarah, I can't do this anymore. I've got to back away. And she, that paranormal scream, no, you need him as much as he needs you. And tell him about you being on the roof of Waverly and thinking about looking, your little moment there that you had when she told you.
I had lost a job, lost a relationship, was on the verge of losing my house because I'd lost a job. I had lost everything. And one night I closed up after an investigation, or was closing up. And the last thing that I would lock up every night, I would go up to the 5th floor. I would say goodnight to Sarah and close the door and put a bolt in the door on the 5th floor. Well, this one particular night, I walked up there. I didn't say goodnight, Sarah. I walked out onto the roof, which, you can just walk right out from the 5th floor onto the roof at Waverly. And I stood there and I seriously thought about jumping off the roof. And I don't know why. I've never done anything like that, never had that thought in my head or anything. But that night I just looked down and thought, I could get rid of all this. And Sarah told me, call Denise. And, I stood there like, what? And so I called Denise from the roof of Waverly. And I didn't tell her that I was standing there thinking about jumping. I just was like, I figured you'd be up. I know you're up all night anyway. And how are you doing? And we got started talking. And I totally forgot about those negative thoughts that were in my head. And walked back inside there over by between 502 and 504. While I was on the phone with her, I said, good night, Sarah. And walked out, bolted the door behind me, went down the steps, got off the phone with her. And at that point, I was pretty convinced that Sarah was trying to pull us together. And it's crazy, I know, but
no, she told you I was going to take care of you.
Yeah,
too,
she did tell me you were going to take care of me, and but she did not fix breakfast yesterday or today.
And I have no intention to it. He woke up yesterday morning and told me that Jesus told him that I'm supposed to get up and make French toast and bacon.
Yeah.
I told him Jesus needs to go get him a biscuit.
So Jesus must be my fiance, because I get the same thing from her of, what are you cooking me for breakfast? Or cook you this. So we're sharing a couple of the same people. Now, have you had any experiences with Sarah outside of Waverly?
She's here all the time. She was at our wedding.
Yeah. We actually were helping host an event at another location, Rosemont, which is down in Gallatin, Tennessee. It's a beautiful old historic home that's got its own activity. And I encourage anybody that's never heard of it or never been there to look into it and check it out. It's a beautiful location. Mm-hmm. We were hosting an event there, or helping host. There were several teams hosting. And, we're supposed to be showcasing Rosemont. Well, we get all the equipment out and everything and get the investigation going, and Sarah keeps coming through.
Yeah, she was
we
talking.
We're like, Sarah, we're trying to talk to the people here. And I don't know. It was she wanted to hang out with us. I guess.
When I started saying, because we put the flashlight. I know a lot of people don't hold a lot of credit to flashlight activity, but when your flashlight is sitting there and it's doing absolutely nothing for 30 minutes, and then you turn around and talk to Sarah and it's on cue, and then it stops when you quit talking to Sarah and it doesn't do anything else until you talk to her again, I have to give credit to the flashlight activity.
Yeah, a lot of that's not just coincidental.
Right.
It just can't be. I mean,
we had her a chair up front with us at our wedding, and we put the flashlight on her chair, and it was fine. It was doing nothing. I started my wedding vows, and it started going crazy.
Now, you guys didn't get married in a church, though. You guys didn't get married in a church, on a beach, at Vegas. You guys got married at Waverly.
No, we got married at a haunted jail.
We were going to get married at Waverly.
I thought, okay, maybe that was the last of the.
Yeah,
but we couldn't work that out in time. And she couldn't wait to marry me because she wants to whack me and get insurance money. So we we got with our friend Bill Wilkerson from Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. He works for the Historical Society in Simpson County, Kentucky, where they have the Old Stone Jail right across the street from the Historical Society offices. And so we held the wedding in the Historical Society there. And then
we were married
the
by
reception. We were married by
Casey Scruggs, who is an exorcist.
He is a priest and
an exorcist.
A real live exorcist, not one of these fly by night guys. And then the reception was an investigation at the Old Stone Jail.
Yep. Did y'all catch any? Did Sarah follow you to the?
Yes.
Yep. I know you said that she was messing with your flashlight, but did she come through with anything else?
Not really. That night it was mainly flashlight. Well, she does usually on the Necrophonics. We use the Necrophonics app, son. That's another
thing that people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like apps, but that's the one that we will actually use because we've had too many weird coincidences with it to really make us feel that it's legit. Like the Spiritus and things like that, we don't really get into that one. But the Necrophonics, if anybody's not checked it out, I suggest you check that one out.
Give it a shot, because we've gotten some direct responses that are not random
that are not
words.
Word bank responses.
Matter of fact, yesterday we were at Waverly.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday we were at Waverly and we got up to the 5th floor and we said, "Hey Sarah, are you here with us?" And had the Necrophonics running and heard Sarah's here. I mean, clear as a bell.
Because I know a lot of the apps though have like only specific words that can come through.
Yeah, this one says some of the weirdest.
We have heard sound effects on it.
Gunshot.
We heard a gunshot on it once.
Now, what is this app?
Todd is saying
it's called Necrophonics.
He's saying that she visits the rest of the team. That's true, because she looks after all. We have our own little para-family of the people we're very close to. And when they're on investigations, if we're not and they're out and about, she will come through to them because she watches over all of us.
Tell me about the rest of your team, because you guys, it's just more than you guys. You guys are part of a bigger pack.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are Pac-Man Paranormal, us and our children, which our children join occasionally, not much, but we have formed. You can't really see that back there.
I don't know if you can see it if I turn it on. Hang on.
That's a midnight. It says Midnight Wolf Pack, but you can't really see that real well.
Midnight
when
Wolf
it's
Pack.
red, you can.
Yeah, when it's red.
Let me stop this thing.
Make it go red. There you go.
There we go.
But we have teamed up with After Midnight Paranormal and the Black Wolf Paranormal to form Midnight Wolf Pack. The midnight comes from After Midnight. Wolf, the Black Wolf. Pack, Pac-Man Paranormal, because we decided to start our own platform, maybe work on some documentaries together. And
we're hoping to join Brandon and produce some content for Paraflix as well.
Exactly.
We'd work with him in a heartbeat. We will host your show on our platform if you want us to, for just a nominal fee of $25 a month, and we'll take care of a lot of stuff for you. Anyway,
yeah, we have a tech team that takes care of everything for anybody.
Puts together promos. Yeah,
that's basically what the payment
intro
is for,
videos, that kind of stuff.
But but we're a family. Outside of the paranormal, we're still a family. Beth 316, the wicked woman, is actually here right now. Josh Chow, he's another one. He's from Bad Moon Paranormal. He also is part of the Midnight Wolf Pack, but he got in kind of after the name was established. He's actually here this weekend as well. Todd and Leanne and Zach SQ from Black Wolf will be up here tomorrow. We have a slumber party every weekend almost. Come on in, Beth.
You guys do some like goofy stuff at night. Now, before you guys go to bed,
that's an understatement. Goofy.
Tell me about your little ritual before you go to bed.
Here's Beth.
Hang on.
3.
I'm the ritual. I'm the ritual before they go to bed.
Yeah, we have a group call usually
every night.
Because Beth is in Atlanta. We're in Louisville. The SQs are in Gallatin, Tennessee. Jason Harrod and Matt Ellis and Jess, they're in Frankfort, Kentucky. So we're kind of scattered out. We're not too far away, just a few hours drive between us all. But we're not all together. So we always have a group call at night, and
with our weird faces.
we all wind up going to bed together, basically.
Yeah, basically we're laying in bed having.
This is basically what it looks like.
Yeah, this is basically our nights going to bed.
Now, you guys recently just got together, and some of you guys probably went to bed with some burning booties.
Oh no, not I.
Yeah.
Now, that was
That's
what
a Jason Garrett thing.
Yeah. That's
what challenge was that? Because you guys do like a different challenge all the time. It's like really neat.
Yeah.
You guys are like a really close family.
We are a very close family.
We are. We're like this, and nobody's going to come between us.
I'm telling you, these guys, I would take a bullet for any of them, and I know that they would do the same for me. We can call any of them day or night. They would drop anything they were doing to be there.
Yeah, except probably Jason.
I don't know. Jason's kind of a little bitch. He's a little more prima donna. Anyway.
No, Jason Herod started. He started with that one chip challenge, the hot chip. You know, that's where it all started. Well, then, you know, we tried to find the next hottest thing and the next hottest thing. And before each investigation.
This is all Jason, by the way. Nobody else really cares about this hot stuff.
we
but we
do
try
it
to make
because
him
it's
happy.
it's part of the family. But we have now determined that the hottest thing in the freaking world by far is the what is it called? The little nitro gummy bear.
Yes. You got you a spammer in here. This Ifatola, whatever they are, is trying to get people for spiritual readings.
Yeah.
Sorry, we do our own spiritual readings.
Thanks.
Peace.
Have a nice day.
Have a good evening, buddy.
Yeah. Just boot him. But no, it's I mean, we'll do. We do other things too. We Megan's wife, or Jason's wife. Megan's wife's named Jason. Jason's wife, Megan. She's very into spirituality and I don't know, metaphysical type things.
She's the kitchen witch of the bunch.
She has a show on our YouTube channel called The Kitchen Witch, and she always makes different teas and concoctions. And
I want to clarify that, because that's one thing that we say it, and then I think it might come across the wrong way. We will, before investigations as the Midnight Wolf Pack, because we do a lot of investigations together as well as separate. When we go together as the Midnight Wolf Pack, Megan likes to make these things to open our third eye, and we'll drink these teas and do our little rituals. They are not drugs. There is nothing in this.
No, it's just herbs.
Yes, so we want to clear, because I'm always like, people are thinking we're doing drugs and going in and
she's
seeing
a registered nurse, okay?
I'm a nurse. I cannot do
risk
drugs.
her license or anything like that. But we I don't know. We just have fun together. I like our little family because you never know what's coming up next.
And it's quite the adventure, no matter what we're doing.
Especially if we're on a road trip where we're all piled in a big 15-passenger van together.
And almost hitting horses at 3:00 in the morning.
Well, that's a lot. They
Four
cause a
o'clock.
lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were leaving Brushy Mountain on the windy mountain roads coming out of Brushy Mountain Penitentiary, and came around a corner, and there's a horse standing in the middle
In
of
the
the
middle
road
of the road.
at
Like
4 a.m.
Like no fences. He just stand. He didn't even flinch.
No.
He didn't flinch at all.
I'd swerved the van around him, and the horse just kind of looked at us as we went by, like, what y'all doing?
Now see, like you guys, I work in a very rural county. I work at a 911 center in a county that only has, during the day, I mean, you're talking only maybe 100,000 people in the entire county at max. We have a little city, and then we have a couple of towns, but outside of that, it's all rural. And it's not unusual to answer a 911 call and hear there's a horse out in the road, there's a cow out on the road. Last week there was a group of chickens that got out, and they were attacking people in the middle of the street. So it's not unusual to have crazy things like that just happening.
It's not usual to have crazy things at Waverly either. Tell him your deer story. Come on, tell him the deer story.
Okay. In 2019,
I love this story. It's my favorite.
on a Sunday afternoon, I was the only one on the hill, and I was answering the phones and watching the security cameras. Well, the weather was pretty decent, and I was a little bored from sitting there watching the cameras. I felt like I was going to fall asleep. So like I would do every time I felt that way, I got out, got on a gator, and decided to take a lap around the building, just kind of get some fresh air and, come to life a little bit. Well, I took the office phone with me, and when I got back around to the side of the building near where the office was, I guess I got back in range because the phone started ringing right away. And I answered the phone. I stopped the gator. I was actually on a golf cart then. I was on a golf cart. I stopped the golf cart. I kind of put my foot up, and I'm just sitting back like this, looking up at the building, talking on the phone, saying, yeah, how's it going? Waverly Hills, blah, blah, blah. Tours start at, next Saturday night. You can get in there, blah, blah. I'm just answering questions. And a tongue goes up the entire side of my face. And I turned around, and there was a deer's nose about right here. Hold on. Right here. Right here. And I'm like, well, I jumped at first. I kind of jumped and probably made like a really girly sound. I was like, yeah. And the lady on the phone was like, is everything okay? I said, I just got licked on the face by a deer. She was like, you what? I said, can you call back? She's like, are you okay? I said, I got licked on the face by a deer. Can you call back? And so she had to be thinking, this guy's lost his mind or something. So I hang the phone up, and the deer's standing there looking at me. And he walks. We had a deer feeder up there on the hill that we would put corn in. And apparently there wasn't corn in the feeder because the deer walked over to the feeder, turned around and looked at me, kind of snorted, and stomped the ground. And I was like, okay. So I drove over to the barrel where we had the corn inside of it. And the deer just kind of stepped back about 10 feet and watched me like put it in the damn feeder. So I got some corn and put in the feeder. I got back in the golf cart, and the deer started walking back toward the feeder, and I just drove on back down to the office.
Now,
I was like,
have you seen that deer since?
I see that little face-licking son of a buck all the time. Literally, he's a son of a buck.
Is it a buck or a doe?
He was a little button buck at the time. But I mean, there's so many deer up there. I wouldn't know if it was him or another one.
Well, a lot of times, there's always that one that is braver than the rest.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that takes a lot of kahunas.
Tell him about your
For a
raccoon.
deer, they're usually not the type that want to walk up and lick you on the face.
Right, exactly.
Tell him about your raccoons up there.
Oh yeah, we used to be overrun with raccoons. Now there's not quite so many up there, but we used to be overrun with them. And I was sitting out on the back deck outside where the security cameras are, eating some Doritos. I had Doritos on a table next to me, and I'm a bag of Doritos sitting there, and I'm pulling one out and eating it, pulling one out and eating it. Well, I pull one out, and I look up at the security camera, and I thought I saw some movement. So I stopped for a second. I just kind of put my hand down to my side with that Dorito in my hand, looking at the security cameras. Something yanks the Dorito out of my hand. I look down, there's a raccoon sitting over, just staring at me. And I kicked at it, like, get back.
Back years ago, speaking of animals taking food from you, years ago when my parents were alive, I was probably in my early teens. My mom always had a thing for animal wildlife, pretty much anything. Well, we used to have a big maple tree, like it was like growing out of the sidewalk. It was just 30 foot high. It was huge. And you had squirrels and all kinds of stuff up there. Well, my mom would put out peanuts just for the squirrels, and there'd be a couple that come up. Well, eventually there was one squirrel. He would jump up on. My mom had like one of them flower pots that hung on the windowsill.
Mhm.
She had one squirrel that would come up and would legitimately knock on the windowsill. Wait for my mom to open. We had one of them bay windows where you cranked open the window.
Yeah.
My mom would crank open the window, hand him a peanut, and he would take off. He would come back. He would knock on the window.
Nice.
And I'm like, it like startled me at first because I would just be sitting there and I would hear and I'm looking at the door and I don't see nobody at the door, but there's a squirrel knocking on my window. Like, bro, what are you doing? This is not normal.
No.
But animals get attached. But I find that very strange though that a deer would actually be brave enough to do that. That actually is
I found
really
it very
amazing.
strange too. I didn't hear it come. He snuck up on me. I didn't hear it coming or anything. I'm sitting there looking the other way, and then whoop, right up the side of my face. And then, literally, he was like that close to me, just staring me in the eye when I turned around.
Anything to have been there and been part of that. Anything.
Now, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
What's that?
How long ago was that?
That was in 2019. No, that was early 2020.
So you didn't bother taking a picture with your cell phone?
I was with you.
Maybe
we were
it was
living in here.
I don't know. Maybe it was
How did you
2019.
get licked by a deer?
It was
me.
before tourist season. I know that.
You got licked by a
No
deer.
cell phone picture?
What's that?
No cell phone picture?
No, I had the other phone in, the office phone in my hand, and I was stunned. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking, I'm going to get a picture.
That would have been a priceless picture to have a deer right here on the cell phone.
Yeah. I didn't know if
you can make this out, I'll give you a reward. I
was kind of thinking he might want to bite my nose or something. I was kind of scared with him right there in my face. I was like, what are you doing? I think I actually said it. What are you doing? He didn't answer me.
And if he would have?
That would have been even worse, probably. But it would have been cool.
At that point, it's not a deer.
Just like you run from all of our other paranormal stuff. He's a big weenie.
Who's that?
I don't run from anything paranormal. If it's a big, hairy woodland thing, I might draw a gun and take a defensive position.
You ran.
I did not run. I got in a tactical position behind the van.
After you ran behind the van.
That's how you get
guys do a
position.
Now you guys got somebody in your group that loves Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Harry and the Hendersons.
We're actually the Bigfoot hunters. All of us hunt them, but we
got a show that's going to be starting in the next week or so with the world famous Squatch Man. That's going to be on the Midnight Wolfpack platform. He's a good friend of ours. Greg Yost is his name. We've gone out with him several times. What?
Bigfoot.
And we've had some crazy encounters. But yeah, the whole team.
We all go
Leanne,
squatching.
Todd, Beth, all of us. We're all good friends with Greg, and we go out in the woods with him every chance we get.
Now, have you guys actually found any evidence of that?
We've seen him.
Talk about the epic night.
Which one of those? Because we've had
something epic, my friend.
You tell him about it. You're the storyteller. You tell him.
You don't ever want to tell a story.
I know, because you're the one that talks.
I'm out of Coke and my throat's raw. That's a Dr. Pepper. Okay. Oh gosh. Well, we did have a standoff with one. We were doing a live stream investigation, and
this is another one of those things. Take it, leave it, don't believe us. We don't care. This is our experience.
I don't care if you believe me or not. I know what happened. I was there.
What
I saw
happened
it.
Was
I lived it.
Mm-hmm. And you lived to tell about it.
I did. See, tactical.
That wasn't the tactic.
So, you want me to tell it or not?
Go for it.
So, we're on a live stream investigation. It was called Ghost Hunters Meet Bigfoot. Long story about how that came to be, but anyway, we're doing it, and we were supposed to go investigate a cemetery that's back in the middle of this forest, and there were Bigfoot hunters that were there that were going to be Bigfoot hunting at the same time, and we were going to see if those two worlds crossed. Okay, and we start walking back the trail. It's called Cemetery Road, and all of our equipment failed. Fresh batteries, dead.
We had a tech guy with us too, because we told the host, we were like, we're not real tech gurus because we don't use a lot of equipment. That's one of the things that people don't understand. We like to have the feelings, the experiences. We're beyond needing all the evidence, so we don't really do that much. So she sent a tech person out just to make sure we had what we needed for the live stream. And our tech guy could not get the equipment to work either. It was working right up until we started up the path, and he came to the path with us and was like, I don't know why it won't come on. We thought it had to do with Wi-Fi connection or something at first.
But it was, camera batteries showed dead, everything. Nothing worked. So we went on up to the cemetery. We get to the cemetery, and Denise says, well, let's just see if this will work now. Well, everything comes back on. Okay. So we do our little ghost hunt for about an hour or so up there. Didn't have a whole lot happen. Start coming back down the hill through the woods, and the equipment fails again. And we were like, well, that's weird. This is the same place that it failed the last time when we were coming up here. And about that time, we heard off to, if you're looking back the path, it don't really matter to you guys because you weren't there, but if you were looking back the path that was off to our left slightly, we heard a like that. And we stopped, turned around, and looked. We didn't see anything. Kept walking. Denise turns and looks back again, and she's like, Ernie, do you see that? And
Beth brought you a Coke.
Beth 316 is nice. But I turned around, and you see a figure, a lot like how shadow figures will do, how they'll kind of peek out
and
then duck back. You see a figure on the edge of that trail doing that in the trees. And this went on for, about 35, 40 seconds, where we were just kind of peeking out and then ducking away. And then it just walked out in the middle of the trail and stood there.
Yeah.
Plain as day. And we both sat there and looked at it and, just stared it down. And it's just standing there staring at us.
It wasn't as big as we were expecting.
It was tall, but it wasn't as bulky
and
huge as what we would expect. But this one, the entire standoff went on for about 3 minutes. And then we heard another grunt off in the opposite direction, off in the distance, and it walked over. It turned quickly and walked that way and was gone. So I don't know. We surmised, and the Bigfoot hunters that were with us at the time said, yeah, it was probably a juvenile. And that second grunt you heard was them saying,
Get out of there.
What are you doing? Because
they're not supposed to show themselves.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Then we went back toward camp, and all the equipment came back up
on
again.
Right after the experience, and it was gone. The equipment started working again.
Did it again.
So
that's awkward, because now, is this more of a, like, you hear about when people talk about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or that, like, everybody looks at something like Harry and the Hendersons, if you remember that movie from the 80s, and you just think of a ginormous hairy person or thing. I'm not too familiar about it, but the way you guys are explaining it, it's more possibly paranormal. It's shutting your equipment off, and then it comes back on as you guys leave.
As we have done this more, we have discovered that we can actually get the REM pod and the flashlight activity and the K2 meters to function when investigating Bigfoot. They actually will use the same means to communicate.
I truly believe there's some kind of interdimensional creature that has the same kind of abilities to communicate with us or whatever as a spirit does.
Yeah.
I don't think they're just a flesh and blood ape.
Yeah, I agree. We've had instances because, and it's easier for me to believe in what I've seen, if that makes any sense, not having any experience. I was never a Bigfoot researcher. I never studied Bigfoot. It was never anything that interested me.
Nope.
So the fact that I had experiences that coincided with things that are typical Bigfoot behaviors, and even the shimmer squatch.
Yeah.
Just that solidified it for me that I must be actually having an experience, because I didn't know those were the experiences. It's not like it was embedded in my brain that this is what you're going to see. I didn't know what I was going to see. So when it happened and it was confirmed, then it was more believable to me.
Yeah, because I mean, this world alone, nobody's been to the bottom of the sea. Nobody's explored every cave. Nobody's explored every piece of the woods. And then you got, complete outer space to just believe that it's humans, animals, fungi, bacteria. I mean,
Right.
there's more to this.
Absolutely.
I mean, there absolutely has to be. You look at a lot of other paranormal investigators that are going with the scientific realm. Even with them, there's still, there's other stuff. UFOs. I mean, just a couple of days ago, they had I think it was United Airlines or Southwest. One of their pilots saw something that didn't show up on anybody's radar.
Well, and for years they tried to say there was no such thing and that they didn't exist, and now the government's actually saying they're going to start releasing stuff. So, those are people that saw them all those years that people called crazy aren't as crazy now as they once seemed.
And I have a guest coming on in a couple of weeks who is an author. She's a book writer, and she wrote a book. It's a fiction book. It's a paranormal romance type of book, but it's based upon true stories, true events. And her mother actually had an encounter with a UFO that landed in front of her car. And you can't not believe some of these stories, especially when you get multiple stories about the same thing that people don't know each other. Like, you can't have 911 calls, that are miles apart.
Yeah.
Like
everybody's seeing the same thing at the same time in the same town.
And then, you have the government that tries to hide it and say that it didn't happen, or they make up something like it was a test flight from one of our pilots. Come on, just it's not like you're making money off of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing that trips me out, because, and I'm pretty sure that the military knows about, a lot of the other stuff that, the paranormal people that have already had their feet on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our technology today, military technology and just technology in general, comes from reverse engineering that's been done on alien technologies myself. I mean, that might sound crazy, but heck, we're paranormal investigators. We go sit in the dark and talk to dead people. So maybe we are crazy. I don't know.
I mean, and most of the time you're sitting in the dark and it seems like you're just talking to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's what, a lot of people that sit there and talk to themselves, you might call them crazy. And then here we are sitting in the dark doing it. And, everybody's like,
what are you pointing at me for?
No, I was saying
he pointed at me. I know what you're pointing at me for.
Your story about being a neuro nurse, where they're, the psychotic patients that, you were like, no, he's not crazy. He's talking to somebody.
Yeah. I get that sometimes when they try to say that patients are confused or crazy, and I'm like, no, they're not.
So I see somebody's. Welcome to MJP. Now let me explain what just happened as I was just getting ready to talk. Just a little while ago, it's been a couple of months, but my my fiance's sister passed away. Now, she liked to joke and she liked to play pranks and she thought it was funny. So none of this normally happens when I'm here. And now we're sitting here talking about paranormal stuff and it happens. But there's something in this house. And the microwave just randomly turns on out of nowhere. The vent. I'm sorry. It's the vent on the microwave. So it. And I don't know if you could hear her in the background, but she said she'll yell and then she'll stop. And it's really creepy because even like our dogs, she was a big time pet lover. She loved dogs. She loved any animals. That our dogs will just be sitting there and then they will just perk their heads up and they just what normal people would look at as they're just staring off into like clear blue sky, like nothing. Mm-hmm. And then they'll run into the kitchen and then they'll just stare at something. Well, there's nothing there. And that, our dogs
this
are not.
Is every day of our life, John, every day of our life.
And, normal people, because we are definitely not normal people for any realm that, we're weird. Face it. But are we? Because there is something there.
What are you doing?
Do I need to call 911?
No, insurance money, John. Insurance money.
Okay. I'll lay off. We're good then. We're good. As long as I get a little bit from it. Just a couple bucks, like $40 for gas. That's it. That's all I need. Other than that, yeah. Other than that, then we start talking about, Uncle Sam starts taking tax money out.
Yeah.
I can't have any of that. Just send me a check or a money order.
Cash works.
Now Beth is there. Now you said she's from where?
She's from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and we've got Josh Chow in there now as well. He, I guess, must have been showering. He's from Cincinnati.
Now, what do you guys got going on?
We're getting ready to head back up to Waverly because tours start, in private investigations start Monday, and it's a mess.
We are cleaning and trying to clear the tour path and all that of debris, and
we're in over our head just a little bit. So we're probably going to be working for the next 72 hours.
Yummy.
Yeah. It's a 180,000 square foot building that is 100 years old and has been sitting abandoned now for 40 years. Right. And it started, not abandoned, but sitting empty and open to the elements for 40 years now. And, there are walls falling down, ceilings falling down, and when that stuff falls, it lands right where you got to walk, and we're getting ready to have thousands of people going through there. We got to make it safe and clean and
we've got the rest
presentable.
We've got half the Midnight Wolf Pack here now, and the other half arrives tomorrow. Midnight Wolf Pack to the rescue.
Sounds like you guys are going to have a good time.
It'll be a good time when it's done.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be nice to be able to see the floors again and know that we accomplished what we set out to do.
Right.
And,
but first we got to eat because I'm starving.
Well, let's go eat.
We're going to go eat.
That sounds like a good idea. I think I might just have to go eat as well.
Let's all go eat, Johon.
That sounds like a dinner. Who's buying my plane ticket, though?
Denise will buy your plane ticket as long as you buy my steak.
That sounds like I get a good deal out of that. So on that note, it was great having you guys on.
Thanks for having us.
I want to hear more stories when you guys go through there. I'd love to have you guys on again because, you two are just amazing as well as the rest of your guys that you have with you.
Thank you.
And I know you guys got a lot to do, and I appreciate taking time out and talking to me. And you guys got a boatload of stuff to do. Make sure that them tours get through safe.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big job. We're looking forward to it, though. I've still got dust in my eye. I just came from there to get on the show.
He came one time just long enough to do your show, get a bite to eat, and go back. He's been there all day, so.
Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Well, thank
you guys are
John.
probably the
We
most
had a
lovely
good
couple
time.
I've ever seen. So you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, thank you, brother.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
We'll come on again. You can come on our show sometime. We'll figure if we still have a show. We don't know what we're going to do with our show with all this tour stuff starting.
We're gonna be busy.
I might have to fill in.
All right, then. Sounds good.
Good night, guys. Love you guys.
Good night.
Take
Thanks for having us.
Good night, everybody.
Spirit passing through.